Free Chinese. Now, where are you from? Where are you from? Where in China are you from? Where? Huh? What? Beijing.
What you just seen there was false pastor Rodney Howard-Browne that was in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and Marcus Rogers was promoting the man. I'm going to show you some more clips of this guy, Rodney Howard-Browne, so that you can see why Marcus Rogers continues the man and why, if you are under his leadership, you need to get out from up under that. Let's look at some more clips, and I want you to listen to the demonic atmosphere of the sounds that you hear within this church setting. Listen closely to it, and then look at the buffoonery that is happening, and then we'll talk.
Drink, 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 drink. It's like an overflowing. The psalmist said, you anoint my head with oil and my cup runs over. That's what you're hearing, the sound of people's cups running over. Jesus, people's cups running over. People's cup. People's cup. People's cup running over. People's cup. People's cup.
And you see some of this stuff? You see that? You see what's going on within the church? Let me give you one more as towards the end of the foolishness, because you see where that guy got the crap slapped out of him? He slaps a guy. But let me show you the last, the ending of this thing so that you can see how much buffoonery is going on with this event, what this guy does.
Chinese joy. Chinese joy. Chinese happy. Chinese happy. Chinese happy. Chinese joy. Chinese joy.
And you see that this is a guy that Marcus was, as you see here, look what he says. Talking about, I'm not going to call nobody like this pastor. This guy's a fraud from South Africa. He comes over here. He sets up a church. He begins to scheme. If you look into the history, folks, look into the history of many of these people. Look into it. Look into the history of some of these YouTubers that have set up ministries. And just look, do some research. Some of it is out there. And you will see like, oh my gosh. What have I been doing? Why am I following someone like this? And the reason why I want to focus on Marcus Rogers is we're not going to talk about him at the Capitol on January the 6th taking place where these folks try to overthrow the United States government. We're not going to talk about that with him. We're not going to talk about some of the other issues that other people bring up about him. And we're not going to talk about that. I want to talk about how this man is a pastor. He's placed himself up to pastor. I believe is self-appointed personally. He places himself as a pastor in this church firehouse and talks about how it's so Holy Ghost anointed and all of these various things, and you've got to come here, and all of these people are under his spell in a sense. And he's always the one that's doing right and teaching right and only knows it, and he thinks he knows it all. But for some reason, this man can't make the proper judgment. He can't make the proper judgment. Why would you promote a false pastor like Rodney Howard-Browne? Why? Do you subscribe to that type of stuff? Why is it? Are you just looking for opportunity because this guy is on a large platform and a millionaire or whatever his status is, and you're trying to get there so you don't care because you'll compromise it all? Is that what it is? What is it? Why do you promote people? And if you see here, once again, he talks about the worship with this Sean Voigt guy. As you see here, let's look at some clips of this Sean Voigt, this Christian nationalist person.
It's all part of the king coming back. That's what we're practicing for. That's why hell hates it that we're worshiping at every capital across America. That's why we get called, well, you're a Christian nationalist. You want the kingdom to be the government. Yes. You want God to come and overtake the government. Yes. You want Christians to be the only ones that, yes, we do. We wouldn't be a disciple of Jesus if we didn't believe that. We want God to be in control of everything. We want believers to be the ones writing the laws. Yes, guilty as charged. I mean, it's funny when I meet Christians where I'm like, I'm like, have you read the Great Commission? Like, this is actually what we want. Guilty.
God connections, mind-boggling. I mean, I got invited to do worship at the Pentagon with my friend Pete Hegseth. I got invited by Speaker Mike Johnson to go into the Capitol and worship. I mean, it's crazy, guys. It's wide open right now. Like, that's the biggest thing I want to express to you, and I hope that you share this. It's like our government has people in it now. I've never seen this and never heard of this before, where worship is being invited in, and the Trump team actually has a faith department where every cabinet member has almost like an intercessor, like a government sanctioned intercessor that's responsible to pray and integrate faith and prayer and decision making into every facet of the government. I mean, it's absolutely unprecedented.
You see, for those of you that don't understand, these people think that Christians should control every sector within society. This is Marcus Rogers' mindset as well. That's why he's so pro-government everything and utilizing. That's why he's so pro-Trump. He feels like Trump, and this is what they feel like, that we've got a government figure now that can place everything, all of these laws in place that can make society act right, make society do right. But as I always talk about, it's a perverted version of Christianity. That's all it is. And it's a lazy version of it as well, because it means that they don't truly trust the Holy Spirit to do the transformation in people's lives. They rather have some type of figure, highhead, that go about trying to change people, and then they go and at the same time they demonize people. And the funny thing is, this whole nationalist thing, and as I talked about it as Marcus being a black man, they don't want him in their circle, because Christian nationalism cross sectors with white nationalism. So with white nationalism,
the right is two things. It is Christian nationalism and white nationalism. Blending those two things together is the project that we are engaged upon right now. Those two things equal America.
So they don't want him in their sphere. And when he was there at the Capitol, you didn't see any other black folks really hanging around out there. He's just one of the few ones that was there. And when you look there, you didn't see, and that all them people storming the Capitol. Did you see any black folks out there? Did you see any? I didn't see. I don't know if there was Asian folks out there storming. I didn't see other colors. I saw a bunch of white guys out there storming the Capitol. And he's out here with these folks, like I told you in another message. Man, they'll take him out to the woods and string him up right along with everyone else of color. So this is why, he has this passion. Yes, he talks about God. Yes, says he has this fire and all of these things, but it's displaced. That's the problem. His fire is displaced because for some reason, he links up with teachers that are way out there, Greg Locke. We know hate Pastor Greg Locke. I don't know if they're close friends anymore, but he has been on platforms with hate Pastor Greg Locke. The chairs within his church were donated from hate Pastor Greg Locke. And if I'm a pastor and knowing, I don't care who gives me what, as far as if somebody that I know is a false teacher or a hate pastor and things, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept these things. He was in the video, the propaganda video with Troy Black prior to the election, because Troy Black is a white nationalist. He's a Christian nationalist. We're going to get to deal with him because there's a few of them I've cut there. I'm going to put them in their box because that's what they are, because they worship the government and Mr. Trump in a form to where it's promoting that. And he was in the video talking where Troy Black had raised $35,000 for a propaganda video that's supposed to tell you about Trump, something that you didn't know. It was supposed to be something that you didn't know. And here he is, maybe, and like I said, Marcus must have got a few $1,000 off of it for setting in there to go along with his propaganda film. So I'll close it out with these examples as with Rodney Howard-Browne, because some people say, well, what's wrong with accepting, these gifts? He's giving out groceries, he's giving out school supplies, and all of these things. Now, there's plenty of people that's unsaved and they have no clue who Rodney Howard-Browne is. And there is plenty of people who's saved that don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. But as Marcus Rogers, as a man that always has said, in the past, God has told him several things. God, all these people, God tells them this and that. But then for some reason, they can't make the proper judgment or have any type of discernment. And then, so there's the responsibility for us as Christians, and especially as a leader, as a pastor, for you to promote that. So I'm not going to hold these people coming to get the supplies as far as accountable in that sense. Some of these people that just don't know. But if you know, if you know and you're still taking part of something, especially after you've been warned on certain things, because some of you have been warned about some of these false teachers and you continue on being hard-headed anyway. Some of you have been told about Marcus Rogers over and over again, and you're just as stubborn as him. And as I close here, 2 examples to show you why this was wrong as far as the Rodney Howard-Browne. I don't care what Marcus is. He's promoting school supplies and groceries and all of that. I have a old close friend of mine that when we were in the streets, he was, many of you know my testimony. I used to sell drugs and I had a lot of high-level drug dealing friends. And he did as well. And he was a barber. Gave him money prior to him being saved to get a barbershop. He gets the barbershop and then he gets saved we get saved closely, give our lives to the Lord closely within the same time frame, within a year or so. But he owes this debt. And I remember it was starting to be a burden on him, because I remember him telling me that the drug dealer guy told him, I don't care if you're in the church or you're saved. I need my money. And you want to talk about now he had 2 young children, married, and he's sweating and he's worried. Because, those of you from the streets, when you owe, it could be low amounts of money. But when you start owing thousands and things, people, they ain't playing. You can lose your life. And he was worried and ended up had to get another job and stuff and told me, I got to pay this off. And then another person that I knew, a young lady, where she was went to a beautician school. And so it's both of them related to hair. But her sister was dating a high-level drug dealer, and he was getting everybody businesses. And he wanted to get her a business as well. And she had recommitted her life to the Lord and was telling me about this. And I told her, I said, you can't serve the Lord and do that. You can't take money from this guy. I don't care how much he's a family friend, and you can't do that. I said, you don't do it. I said, that's dirty money. That's dirty money, and the Lord is not going to bless you with this. And fortunately, they didn't do that. So the point of this, me telling you them 2 stories, is all money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. So I don't care if somebody's passing out, telling you all of these things. If it's a false teacher and you are aware of it, you need to run and go the other way. I don't care if it's $10 million sitting on a table and they're telling everybody come and grab some stacks of it. No, you go the other way because you have been made aware. And Marcus Rogers continues to show lack of discernment, or he just doesn't care. But whatever it is, as a leader, he needs to sit down. As a leader, you need to get out of that church. As a leader, you need to quit falling for these where he's flipping the okey doke and ghosting people and doing these various things where people just forget some of these decisions that he continued to do. He focuses more on his music. I think that he should just stay on the music, go off and do the music thing. But as far as gaslighting was the word I was looking for. I was previous there. I was looking for. He's ended his gaslighting, folks, and want you to forget everything that has done, and that is against what God's word says or whatever. He wants you to just forget that, and goes on and all of these other praise and worship and talk a good game. But you can't have it. You can't be. He always talk about lukewarm. You can't have it both ways. I think that his focus is more on music, and I think that's what he should stick to. Stick to the music, close up this firehouse, or do something else with it, or so. But as far as a church pastor, he shouldn't be leading a flock of people. Because right now, people, you're not going to truly grow as a Christian, as you should be, and you're not going to be within God's will where you're supposed to be if you can dabble with stuff like this. If he makes bad decisions like that and thinks Rodney Howard-Browne, the Browns and people like that is okay. If he thinks that forcing religion down people's throat through the government means it's okay, you're not okay. You're not okay, because God's not pleased with that. And you're going to be subject to being held back, and he's going to be held back as well, because you're not going forward, because the Spirit of God is not going to hover and be a true blessing in your life because you're being disobedient. And that's all what we have for this particular video. Evangelism for God is the channel where we talk about issues the church run away from, tackle Satan and his tactics, punch him right in between the chops. My name is Maurice Braxton. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.